I'm David Griffin. It's the 24th of October 2018 and I'm here at Matlock Cricket Club. I'm with Dave Ramsden, Clarrie Hill, Peter Stapleton and Roger Young. These are all venerable gentlemen from Matlock, played, captained, vice chairman, chairman, president, etc. And what I want to do in this final interview is just have a chat with you really about how you see the game, whether it's at county level, test level, the level you play at. Because you must have seen some enormous changes in the game. But perhaps start with you, Peter. Where do you see cricket? Where is it at the moment in terms of Matlock Town, for example, and club cricket?
Junior level, I can talk about junior level because I do help to run the junior setup. We're expanding in juniors. We've got, and it's been helped by the All Stars programme,
Right.
Where we're getting one or two really younger ones, 5 to 8s, wanting to come and play cricket, wanting to have a go, and this is what it's all about. But keeping them and taking them through the various stages, that's the important thing. You know, from the under 11s, under 12s, under 13s.
What's the age you struggle at to keep them? What's the tipping point age?
Under 15,
Right.
I would say, and we haven't got an under 15 at Matlock at the moment, but the 12s and 13s will progress to
Yes.
that. But that's the age when they're finding out about life. They find out about girls. They find out about fast food, drink.
Yeah.
They never stopped us playing, did they, Dave?
We're going back again here, aren't we? Yeah, no, it didn't in our day, but no, this is
I
what
have a share of
happens.
both, though.
So, you know, and today there's so many things they can turn their hand to.
Yeah.
They can try every single sport they want to, because it's there for them. Well, it wasn't so much in the old days.
How do we meet that challenge then, gents? Is there a way, or do we just have to accept that's it, or is there a way to re-energise?
I think if we accepted that was it, we wouldn't continue to exist. I think it is about hard work.
Yeah.
Some of it is being in the right place at the right time, but it's working with schools locally to get the all-stars and then the quick cricketers and the young under 11s, 12s and 13s. And any way we can tackle it. We're not alone in this. This is the problem that cricket faces, club cricket faces. Right across the country, you only have to look at the number of teams that no longer exist.
Yes.
Not just in Derbyshire but elsewhere. The county league has a very strong structure and does very well, but it's fighting off the competition. One of our former second 11 captains a few years ago said to me he hates cycling. And that what he was actually saying was there are too many people now not playing team sports, but they're actually cycling instead of playing cricket or other things. And that's one of the distractions we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Social media, they'll sooner play gaming on social media and so on. So when you get them, you've got to nurture them and keep them and hope they'll remain loyal to you to a certain degree. But you have to also to accept at the same time you will lose a number along the way for the reasons Peter has said.
Where do you recruit your players from? You talk about the all stars and things, but where are they? Local,
Schools,
generally local.
Yeah, they're in the Matlock cluster
Yeah.
of primary schools that all feed the Highfields big secondary school in Matlock. So we don't just go to the secondary school, we attack the primary schools, you know, at the younger age before they get to the secondary schools, in the hopes that we can grab them at a very early age and encourage them by playing them, coaching them properly, because, you know, coaching them with qualified coaches is important.
Just interested to know, gents, because you presumably all your league cricket would have been played 46 overs, 45, 50 or whatever.
Like my and others, it was actually unlimited at one time. It used to be 8 ball overs
was,
as well.
Yeah.
And then it was unlimited time cricket. And then probably in late 60s, early 70s, you became to the 46 or 40, 46 overs.
No, when I first started, it was if you want to, you could bat all day, leave them half an hour.
Yeah.
you know, and people used to kick the backside out of it by not giving it a chance. So then they could say, right, 45 overs each, get on with it.
Yeah.
And that made cricket a different game.
And do you still support, because I'm right in thinking, aren't I, that throughout the Derbyshire League, it's still, you can draw a game. You can win a game, lose a game.
Oh, yes.
Are you still very much pro that approach, or would you bring in as in one-day cricket, in county cricket, you can't draw a one-day game, can you?
No, I think
do you think would you stay as it is or change it?
I would stay as it is, because some drawn games are very good games.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you've something to battle for,
Yeah.
fighting for a draw, the other team's fighting for a win, but it's still a game of cricket.
Yeah.
It's not a no result, because you can have a winning draw because you've scored more runs. And the team batting second don't do it, but they need to get something out of it to make the day worthwhile, and that's what the league is structured to do. I think the other problem that cricket clubs have, and it's some of our senior players as well, is that they look at the one day cricket in the country. They look at 2020. I personally think 2020 will ruin county cricket eventually. It's beginning to do that. But people want to play shorter forms of cricket. They don't want to play 46 overs or 92 overs.
In your
We've got
league,
some members now that they would prefer to play 2020 because of the amount of time it takes.
It's going that way.
Yeah.
The county league now, apart from the Premier League and League Division 1 and I think 2, all the other divisions, their cup is 2020.
Yeah.
You know, it's only the top 3 divisions that are still on 50 overs. So it's going that way, even with the county league, T20. And we're talking about it, well, it's being discussed nationally, T10.
It may be, of course, the other thing is that you change the actual starting times. Because part of the problem for younger players, I'm talking about players in the 20s, maybe 30s, who want to socialise more, is they want the evenings to do that. So instead of starting the game at 1:30 or 2 o'clock and going through to the early evening, they may want to start at 10:30, 11.
And finish at 4.
And 4, Now, it's not for me to comment, I'm no longer a player. If that's what they want, fine, but I would hope that they'd retain the same number of overs, potential overs in the game.
Well, I watched England and Sri Lanka highlights happening on whilst it might be entertaining all it, but it's not cricket.
Would you, Dave? I mean, would you have played? You were an all-rounder, I presume, judging by what you told us earlier about your 54 not out and 9 for. Would you have? I mean, presumably you played a kind of T20, because I certainly did in the 70s and 80s in evening cricket.
Oh
You used to play 20 overs or 15 8-ball overs.
That's right.
There's a local competition called the Arm Shield, which run from Bakewell, and that's a limited.
That used to be a midweek league. So I remember when they first.
50 overs, 8-ball
That's
overs.
right. Same number of balls.
Yes.
It's worth saying that we're part of what is the Longston League, incorporates the Arm Steel. But last year there was only 5 clubs, including ourselves, in the Longston League, so that gives you a maximum of 8 fixtures. Next year we don't even know whether it's going to go ahead.
Again.
And because again, it's the pressures of younger players who've got school, much more structured homework, college commitments and so on, and girls who want to be blunt, or boys for that matter. And you know, they've got other distractions, so where other people work, as we all did. So there's less commitment for midweek cricket.
And what about the ground? Because you've obviously got a lovely ground here, but presumably this takes some upkeep. So who looks after your ground for you? Who keeps the pavilion?
Well, to be honest, I'll be honest. If it hadn't been for Clarrie,
Clarrie's
we wouldn't be sat here now.
He's the main. He's the head groundsman.
And the main benefactor over the years, over the decades.
Still the groundsman, Clarrie. Really?
Yeah.
You can't get him off the outfield mower in the summer.
I don't do the wicket. I don't have anything to do with the square. Outfield and the banks and all. You know, just.
Wow. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but there can't be many older groundsmen knocking around in Derbyshire or anywhere else, I wouldn't have thought. You give Walter Goodyear a run for his money at this rate.
I need somebody helping me at the moment because I'm struggling. I've had both knees operated on, and the second one's not a success. And so I'm still having treatment really,
But you'll still be on the tractor next year cutting the outfield.
Well, just a little story. He was suffering at one time. He suffered with hips and knees, hadn't he?
yeah.
And I remember it clearly. He was suffering so much, but he wanted to get on the outfield mower, so we had to lift him on.
Really?
Yes. That was all right.
Dedication
Yeah,
to duty.
Yeah.
And what of the future then, James? Where does Matlock go? It can presumably you want to try and get promoted from the leagues. I mean that's you're playing competitive cricket, so you want to get promoted. Is that a realistic?
It's realistic in the sense we've got the potential. The problem we've got here and now is that our second team is still in the lowest league, Division 9 North, or as it will be next year, our first team are in 3 North, so there's a 6 gap league between, so bridging that gap is difficult. But for the first team, we only missed out on the last day from being promoted. Maybe next year will be that closer, and that in itself should attract better players. The problem with local cricket is, and we've had this problem, is that the higher up the leagues you go, the more money they want. Now we don't pay our players as such. We had an overseas amateur from Australia last year, but we didn't pay him in that sense. Whereas other clubs in the Premier League, Division 1, maybe Division 2, are paying players to play cricket. And we don't want to put ourselves in that position. One, because we can't finance it.
Yep.
And secondly, there is a view amongst our players, and I'm with them on this, that that's not the way forward. At the end of the day, we are a recreational cricket club. And if somebody could said to us, when we've been and gone, in 50 years or even 100 years, Matlock Cricket Club will still exist, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
And what about from a social perspective? Because I presume the game, that's changed as well. I'm thinking of particularly Dave and Clarrie are the real senior citizens here, so to speak. No, but I guess from 1950 when you played the game then, it was a very different world post-match to what it is today.
In them days, Matlock Cricket Club was the solicitors and school teachers and guests from Smedley's Hydro. They used to come visiting for the waters and that,
Yeah.
and if they wanted to play cricket, they could come and play cricket at Matlock. Somebody local had to step aside to let them play. And then somebody had a wonderful idea, let's join the league. And eventually we started playing league cricket, which meant that your better players played in the first team and second team, and eventually ran a third team. And we progressed from there. But where we go from here, I don't know.
It depends how many of the juniors were able to bring up right from starting to play cricket at a very young age. It's whether we can keep them past what I said was the age where you have to be careful they're finding out about other life. Once you get past that and you've got decent cricketers, they'll stay. They'll stay because they want to play the game, and they can play the game, and they know they can play the game. So you keep. It's how many of those you get.
Yeah.
As to whether you can run a third team. Feed your second team very well with players that have got a bit of experience. So it does depend upon that.
Yeah.
The future, the juniors.
You mentioned the social thing, because that's important to involve all the families, all the members, all the players. And our friend there, Steve, was the main person behind the social do we had at the end of the season, this just passed, where we had a curry evening and other social events that started across the Bowls Club across the road there. And we had around 90 people in this building that evening. Now you've seen the size of the building, the place itself. We had some outside because we couldn't accommodate 90. But for Matlock Cricket Club, that was on the brink of extinction 4 years ago almost, to have 90 people here, a mixture of family, men, women, children and so on. Well, we wouldn't have envisaged it, and that is really encouraging.
Well, it's positive note to almost conclude on, but what I'd like to finish on is just a very few short words from each of you about what Matlock Town cricket and what cricket generally has meant to you through your life. And can I start with you, if you don't mind, Peter, and the other three can have some thinking time.
You can, yes. I mean, cricket's been a big part of my life. I played for 40 years. Didn't start till I was 20, but finished. I wanted to play till I was 60, and I did. So I've had 40 years at it, and after that, then I wanted to put something else back. I mean, I'd got a coaching badge, so I chose to coach juniors, look after juniors, because they are the future of the club.
Yeah.
It's not me at my age, that's gone now. I've had my time, thoroughly enjoyed the time I've had in cricket, and just want to put something else back.
Lovely.
So I'm trying to do that.
Lovely. Dave?
It's been a big part of my life. Some wonderful memories. One of the not outstanding memories, we were once on holiday, and we always should try and go on a Friday on holiday, but I insisted on playing cricket and going Saturday evening or Saturday night late on with the children. We get to Corfu and walks down to this hotel. First person I saw in the restaurant, well, there's like from Ian. Says, how did you go on yesterday? I says, we beat you. And he'd missed out, he'd gone, as you should do on a Saturday. I'd skipped today.
Yeah.
I said, well, we beat you.
Roger?
That's one memory.
Yeah,
Roger.
I imagine like the four of us and everybody else, it's been a big part of my life from when I was a young schoolboy playing at school cricket. It was about the only decent thing I was good at school was cricket. But being seriously, what I'd want to say is that I miss playing like Peter does, and I'm sure Dave and Clarrie. But we had our time. I miss the banter in the changing room. As chairman, I tend to keep out of it now. I try not to express too many opinions, but it's inevitable. We always forget about the bad times as well, when it was difficult, cold days, getting players and so on. But the one thing I want to say is we've done that because of the support of our families. I know my wife has supported doing teas and events over the years. She doesn't like cricket at all, but it's been an inconvenience to her, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do what I've done for Matlock and my former clubs without the support of my wife and indeed my wider family.
Clarrie, what's the game meant to you, my friend?
A lot of memories. There's more of them coming back as I've been sitting here. One is worth telling you about. Ian Hall played for Matlock.
Oh right, yes, he
Down
lives in Spain now, Ian, yes.
Well, that was the time I was playing with Alfred, and we used to play Matlock on bank holidays.
Yeah.
And this match was at Alfred, and there was a big crowd there. And we batted too long, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah.
And so Ian Hall's dad, who was captain, he told Ian, like, play for a draw. And he just went, well, it didn't matter what you bowled at him. And Dave's at the other end, belting balls into the tennis courts and all. And I got that frustrated one over, I bowled underhands to Ian Hall, but he still did the same.
Gents, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me into your cricket club. It's been lovely just to get a little snapshot of your cricketing lives. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
David. Thank you.